Today we'll discuss the image data characteristics. You know, remote sensing image data are more than a picture. That means when we are talking about the image data, we are measuring of the EM energy. Image data are stored in a regular grid format. That means when we are talking about the image data characteristics, we are talking about the grid formats. And grid means that is a combination of rows and columns. The single elements are called pixels, an abbreviation of the picture elements. That means the pixels or dot cells, these are the terms that are related to the image processing or the image sensing. For each pixel, the measurements are stored as digital number values, or basically the small number is much more popular, that is called the DN values. If you see this particular figure, you will find, depending upon the columns and rows, different types of DN values are provided. 45, 26, 81, different DN values are provided, for example, in this particular picture. Next, the quality of image data is primarily determined by the characteristics of the sensor platform systems. That means there are sensor platform characteristics are usually referred to as different, depending on the different parameters, we can define this platform. First one they are talking about, that is called the spectral resolution and the radiometric resolution. That is referring the respectively to the part of the electromagnetic spectrum measured and the differences basically in energy that can be observed. Next parameter, if you see, that is called the spatial resolution. What is this? That is basically the smallest unit area measured. It indicates the minimum size of objects that can be detected. And third one is called the revisit time. What is revisit time? The time between the two successive image acquisitions over the same locations on Earth. Depending upon these three parameters, we can particularly find out what is the strength of the image quality or what is the resolution of the image quality. The resolutions need a more complicated sensor-specific explanation. These are explained respective chapters. That means the camera, the multispectral scanner. The image data produced by the sensor platform system are related to the above mentioned resolution. So characteristics of the image data, there are image size, number of bands, quantization, ground pixel size. Depending upon these four parameters, we can reform or we can find out the image data characteristics. Next is basically the data selection criteria. What is this? The first term we are facing in this particular article, that is called the spatio-temporal characteristics. So for the selection of the appropriate data type, it is necessary to fully understand the information requirement for a specific application. Therefore, we have to analyze the spatio-temporal characteristics of the phenomena. That is a very important parameter regarding this data selection criteria. Next, we are finding out the availability of the image data. Once the image data requirements have been determined, we have to investigate their availability and cost. So depending upon different parameters, 7 basically panchromatic missions with a spatial resolution between 1 and 10 meter, that means different parameters we have mentioned in this case, and depending upon that we can find out the availability of the image data. Next one, cost of image data. Regarding each and every system, the cost is a very important parameter. So in this case also, it is rather difficult to provide indications about the cost of the image data, and depending upon the cost, we can identify several classifications of the image data. So in this particular chapter, so that means the active sensor, passive sensor, as well as this image data characteristics, we may find out different topics, and these topics are very useful regarding the remote sensing purpose. That's all for today. Next class or the next lecture, we will discuss a new topic. So goodbye, students.